why most VA claims get denied, and the 3 things that fix it. Most veterans believe the VA disability system is slow, broken, and almost impossible to win. But here is something most people do not realize. The VA actually approves well-built claims surprisingly fast. I have seen veterans wait 10, sometimes even 20 years getting denied, then finally get approved in just a few months once their claim was structured correctly. So the question is, what changed? Because the VA did not suddenly get nicer and the system did not suddenly become easier. The difference usually comes down to 3 things the VA rater is legally required to see before approving your claim. And once you understand those 3 things, the VA process becomes much more predictable. My name is Jacob, an Army veteran, and like many veterans, I have also been denied by the VA multiple times. And now I help thousands of vets navigate the confusing disability process as a veterans benefit specialist here at VetClaims.ai, where we have helped thousands of veterans push through the claims process and secure the ratings they actually deserve. So today I want to walk you through something that almost nobody explains clearly. There's actually 3 big things that the VA uses to evaluate your claim. Mess one up and that decision letter might disappoint you. Because once you understand how the VA actually evaluates claims, a lot of the confusion disappears. And this matters a lot because 100% VA disability rating today pays over $4,000 per month tax-free. That is nearly $48,000 per year. So this process is not just paperwork, it is about financial security for you and your family. Now here's the part most veterans never see. Every VA disability claim is actually decided by 3 specific questions the VA rater must answer. Now here's the part most veterans never see. Every VA disability claim is actually decided by 3 specific questions the VA rater must answer. If even one of those questions is not clearly answered, your claim can get delayed or denied. So once you understand what those 3 questions are, you start to see why some claims move quickly while others get stuck in the system for years. Let's walk through them. Every VA claim comes down to these 3 questions. First, does the condition actually exist? AKA, do you have a diagnosis? Second, is the condition connected to your military service? Always referred to as your service connection. And third, how severe is the condition? What is the severity of your condition? If any one of these is missing, the VA has a reason to say no. So let's break down each one. One of the biggest misconceptions veterans have is believing the VA is simply slow. But the VA actually operates under something called duty to assist, which means if your claim is messy or missing evidence, the VA has to try and gather that evidence themselves. So they start ordering exams, requesting medical records, scheduling evaluations, investigating evidence, and every one of those steps can add months or years to a claim. So the more confusing or messy your claim is, the slower the process becomes. The VA does not reward more claims, it rewards clear and strong claims. And that brings us to the first pillar. The first question every VA rater asks is simple. Does the veteran actually have the condition they are claiming? And the only way the VA can confirm that is through a medical diagnosis. The VA raters are not doctors. They cannot diagnose you themselves. So if the condition is not documented in your records, the rater has no safe way to approve the claim. For example, let's say a veteran files a claim for chronic migraines, but there is no migraine diagnosis in their medical records. Even if that veteran experiences migraines regularly, the VA still cannot legally confirm the condition exists, which often leads to a denial. This is why having clear medical documentation before filing a claim is critical, because that diagnosis becomes the foundation of the entire claim. But even if the VA agrees the condition exists, most claims still fail at the second pillar. And here's the part the majority of veterans actually get denied for: the lack of service connection. Service connection simply means the VA must see clear evidence linking your condition to military service. This connection can happen in several ways: direct service connection, secondary conditions, or aggravated conditions. But the VA must see evidence linking the condition to your service. For example, a veteran may have sleep apnea and use a CPAP machine. But unless the VA sees evidence connecting that sleep apnea to military service, the claim could still be denied. However, if a doctor explains that sleep apnea developed secondary to PTSD, that connection makes the claim more eligible. This connection can happen in several ways: a direct service connection, secondary conditions, or aggravated conditions. But the VA must see evidence linking the condition to service. This is where the Nexus letter becomes critical for your decision. A Nexus letter simply states that the condition is at least as likely as not connected to military service. That explanation gives the VA rater the evidence needed to justify the approval. Now, once the VA agrees the condition exists and they agree it is service connected, there is still one final factor that determines how much compensation you receive: severity. Once service connection is confirmed, the VA must determine how severe the condition is. That severity determines your disability rating percentage, and your rating determines your monthly compensation. A condition rated at 10% might result in a small benefit, but the same condition rated at 70 or 100% could mean thousands of dollars per month. But here's the part where many veterans, just like you and I, tank their own rating. Because military culture teaches us to push through pain, not complain, not show weakness. But during a C&P exam, that mindset can and will work against you. If an examiner asks you to bend forward to test your back and you push past the point of pain, you may show a larger range of motion, which could result in a lower disability rating. During a VA exam, your job is not to prove how tough you are. Your job is to explain how the condition truly affects your life. So when you're at the exam, you need to make sure to describe what your worst days are like. Because at the end of the day, the examiner is not determining your rating. The VA is. And the VA can only rate what is properly documented in your medical records or what that examiner wrote down. So let's review the 3 pillars of a strong VA claim. First, a clear diagnosis confirming the condition exists. Second, evidence connecting that condition to your military service. And third, documentation showing the true severity of your condition. When these 3 things are present, VA raters have the evidence they need to approve a claim. If you want help identifying what might be missing in your VA claim, we dropped a link at the top of this video's description and you can check out below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Before you go, make sure to drop a comment on what kind of video you want to see us make next.